Right, this is going to be a look at a transformer, but it's a special transformer. Don't mean special in the way that it's retarded and stupid, but special in the way that it's quite unique among transformers. So, without much ado, let's take a quick look at Predaking. Now, Predaking is really cool. You know he's cool when he's got the name King in the name. Anything like that's got to be good. So it's a Predaking, not a Duke, you know, or something along those lines. He's a king. Or a prince maybe, but no, he's a king, Predaking. And he comes from the Predacons, yes. Now, the funny thing is, the later Transformers in Beast Wars seem to take their name from that, because they're Predacons, aren't they? They're not Decepticons, they're Predacons. So I don't know if that's where they got the initial idea from. I reckon it is. But, you know, we keep that between ourselves, yeah? Alright? No problem anyway. Okay, so look. Predaking is great, and so are the Predacons. Now, believe it or not, I have two Predacons, that's not right. Two Predakings, or two lots of Predacons. That's what I was aiming for, you see. See, there was method behind the madness, just more madness than method, as is so much the case with me. So, where should we start with him? He's not the largest Transformer ever made, obviously. Scorponok is some way larger, and there's quite a few larger. I think even Overlord is taller. But, as a gear stole, I think he is the largest. Oh, unless you can get some of the knockoff ones and then they're giant. But no, as a standalone combiner, he is one of the larger ones. Now, interesting thing to note about him, he's not an official Transformer product. Well, he is a Transformer product. Yes, he has the rub signs and all that stuff. But he's from another toy line, a bit like Skylynx. Like so often is the case with Hasbro in the early days. They used to rip off other toy lines, stamp on the insignia, there you go, there's a Transformer. We've put no cost effort into creating this Transformer, the transformation of it at all. We'll just rip it off. And Hasbro are masters at ripping things off. I'm quite surprised he never did a recolour of it and called it some other weird name, you know. Now there's an idea, Hasbro. You've reissued this guy. Now why not just do a recolour of him and you'll get double the profit? Excellent. See, I'm on the ball as usual. I know Hasbro. So there we go. So let's take a look at the toy, shall we? Now, as you know, there are two variants. There's the plastic kind and the metal kind. I'm not sure which come first. I think the metal kind come first, as in most cases, and then they re-release it again in a plastic form because it's, you know, cheaper to produce. No die-cast metal for all of you guys. And as I said, I have two of this toy. So before I do an individual review of each Transformer, let's take a closer look at him, shall we?
Well, here they are in all their glory. Forgive the shaky cam, I'm just rubbish at filming stuff freehand. Can't help it, so you just have to live with it. Or not watch it. Anyway, so here they all are. Let's go through them quickly. Divebomb here, one of my favourites, if not my favourite. Headstrong, who is not particularly headstrong, he's more back heavy, because he can't stand up. We'll explain that in a bit. Razorclaw, the leader, always give him two swords because he's got short arm syndrome. Tantrum, always got chewed ears, and there's Rampage at the end, and obviously Predaking. Now let's take a closer look at Divebomb here. I really like Divebomb. I'll explain more about them later, but I'm just trying to give you a closer look at them. Okay, let's get Headstrong here. Now, the point what I'm trying to explain here is the fact he can't stand up. You see, because of his transformation, it makes it unable for him to have any feet. So they've tried to do a compromise with these little bits of plastic at the side, which don't help. And his arms are just daft, and his head's a bit, well, half-hearted. Look, it really is a shame. See, look, the animal head's fine, it's just a robot head. Okay, let's get Tantrum here. As I said, he has a tendency to get his ears chewed, and he looks like, to me, he could have been a headmaster. He's got the flip-out panel here and rather a square, boxy head. He could have been a headmaster, but at least he can look left and right, unlike some of them. And although he's not too bad, at least he can stand up, because he's got a little peg at the back. They should all have that, in my opinion. Right, let's take a look at Rampage. I like the name Rampage, but he is essentially the same toy as Razorclaw. I always like to give him the guns because he looks like a ninja to me. He's got that ninja covered up face, but look, they are essentially the same toy. As you can tell, they've just got different animal faces and heads there, because obviously one of them's a lion, and the other one must be some sort of panther or puma or something. Maybe even a cougar, I'm not 100% certain. And the waist is a tad different, but I'll explain a little bit more later on. I just wanted to give you a close-up look at them. And let's do a little bit of size comparison, shall we, for Predaking, because he is, as I said, not the largest, but he is still one big combiner. So let's stand him up against, let me have a think, Menacer. Menacer is a very small combiner. You can see he wouldn't stand a chance against Predaking. Look at the state, he's tiny. I think one of the individual Predacons is as big as Menacer. Menace always was a bit of a disappointment. Now, let's take a comparison to a Bayformer. Devastator there. Devastator the Bayformer. I hate Bayformers. What do you think of him, Predaking? What do you want to do about it? Do you think you can take on that piece of junk? Give him one more. That's more like it.
Okay, so that's a little bit more information about the individual toys, and we'll have another closer look at them in a sec. But as regards backstory for him, his comic book run is not actually super, but it's actually better, I would say, or at least on a par with his comic book persona, because in the cartoons you actually get to know them, you understand that they are ruthless. There's a really good episode that they're in. I'm trying to remember the name of it, the name escapes me. It's, wait 1 minute. Nightmare Planet, and in the Nightmare Planet they sort of team up with the Autobots, and it reveals a little bit more of their individual characters and traits. As regards they are, you know, I'll almost go as far to say they resemble, to a very small extent, Klingons in their warrior type way of fighting, and they have a small amount of honour which is put across in that episode. Never again, unfortunately, so much, but that really is a good episode for them. The episode is shocking, it's shit. In my opinion, but as regards developing them as a character, it's pretty good, and they are seen quite often through season 3. I mean, they are the heavy hitters of the Decepticons, and unlike a lot of Gearstolts, when they combine, they're quite focused because they like fighting. So since they all like fighting, when they all merge together, the merged brain is, collectively speaking, quite focused, where as regards the Stunticons, say for instance, are completely random. One of them is paranoid, one of them is analytical, one of them just likes to smash things. I mean, one likes just to drive around. I mean, the confusion that must be going on in their head is unbelievable they even function at all. But Predaking is very much more focused. He just likes a good fight, and he likes to kick the shit out of Autobots. So in that sense, they work quite well together. Comic book run, it's quite interesting actually, because Megatron kicks the shit out of Predaking. I mean, that is one hell of a good fight, and if you haven't read it, it's one of the original, I think it's the UK comic, is it? Yeah, because they had to tie them in together. As you know, the UK comics and the American comics, we had a lot more, because it seemed to run a longer course in this country. But in the meantime, I think in the States the comics were going, was it on a fortnightly or a monthly basis? I'm not quite sure. I think we had them weekly or something along those lines. Anyway, so they had to tie the stories in together. And funny enough, Megatron is around, I think, at the creation of them, or he has some instigation in making them, and then he has no knowledge of them later on in the comic, and they sort of like wrap that up, and Megatron has a fight with them, and, well, I said, he beats them. Nobody messes with Megatron. Anyway, so that's essentially it for their run. I mean, they've had some varying little kinds of recolours of the mini-bots and stuff, but other than that, essentially, this is the best adaptation and version, is the original or the reissue. Now, as I said, I do have both, and you've seen them all together. They are a great set of toys. So let's just take another brief look at them individually.